University of Wisconsin-Madison mobs want the statue of Abraham Lincoln pulled down from campus, claiming that even though Lincoln freed the slaves, wait for it, he was not pro-black enough. Well then, by that reckoning, no figure from all of history can pass muster unless they kneeled like spoiled children during sporting events that weren't invented yet. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is The Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we start in Madtown, USA, crazy town, literally, where some UW-Madison students are now calling for the statue of President Abraham Lincoln to be torn down because he lacked sufficient blackness. He was not black enough. And so this is the perfect example, Katie, of the lack of logic of these people. And first of all, anybody who ever again says this isn't about anarchy, it isn't about destroying American history, it's about equality, let that comment sink in there. That's like something he must have learned in an African American studies course at UW-Madison. So all the figures of American history now, because they didn't wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts, because they didn't have Black Panther armbands, because they were not militant enough, they didn't support blacks enough, freeing the slaves. That's all well and good. But he didn't wear his little flat beat cap, right? If Abraham Lincoln had sported a flat beat cap and a lot of bling, maybe we'd have been a little bit more tolerant of his statue. And this is how much does UW-Madison cost a year? 40K a year for this kind of an education? So again, let's quit pretending like J.J. Watt, University of Wisconsin graduate, said, this isn't about disrespecting the flag. This isn't about anything. This is about protesting. Okay, right, JJ. You went to the same school these idiots did. Let's hear your take on Abraham Lincoln statue.
Well, J.J. Watt doesn't count because he is white. And what's happening at UW-Madison is actually similar to what's been happening for years at UW-Madison, but because of everything happening around the country, this is just elevated to a whole new level. So the two student organizations, the Black Student Union and the Student Inclusion Coalition, got together and said, we need to take Abraham Lincoln down, because earlier in the month of June, they had already taken down in Madison, and it was probably UW-Madison students involved in that. They took down Forward, who is the model.
Progress,
Forward,
the model of progress. So you had a female statue pointing into the distance, right, who represents progress.
Well, yes, she's forward.
Forward.
That's the motto of
and she
Wisconsin.
Was torn down. Because,
she was torn down.
That's probably the most honest thing they ever did, because this movement is not moving us forward.
Well, yes, that was over at the Capitol, which is right by the campus.
They took her down.
And then they also took down Civil War abolitionist Hans Christian Heg. Abolitionist. Do you know what abolition means? Can't have that. So they actually dragged the Heg statue all the way over to the lake and tossed it in the lake. That's exactly what. That's as much effort as I've seen people put in lately about this. So in a way, I'm kind of proud.
Hey, they're getting their cardio in, right?
And there's strength in that.
And those damn abolitionists. I mean,
they
were all a bunch of Christians.
Exactly.
And we know that Christianity has nothing to do with African Americans in modern day life, right? Mm-hmm. That there's no correlation between Christian spirituality and the black community over the last 150 years. That's all just made up, manufactured stuff. We know that the religion of the black man is Islam, right? The same Islam that was colonizing Africa and sending black slaves around the world.
That's
hundreds
history.
of years.
Stop it.
Hundreds of years.
Stop the history.
Okay.
So
the history lesson.
Just so everyone knows, I say it's a privilege to be on the campus a couple times when I was a teenager, because it's actually a nice looking campus. But at the top of the hill, Bascom Hill, is Bascom Hall, which is where right in front of that you have Abraham Lincoln. And the statue of Abraham Lincoln, everyone goes by, whether it's commencement, before a Badger game, people go up to the Lincoln statue because they want to get their photo with President Lincoln. A lot of people actually like to climb up onto President Lincoln and take a photo with him. But
and now, wait, you can get that same picture at the bottom of the river. Nothing has changed here. And of course, the president of the University of Wisconsin system, Rebecca Blank, historically defended the statue. This is not the first time they've come for it. She has supposedly not changed her position on keeping the Lincoln statue just outside her office in Bascom Hall. Quote, she said, like all presidents, Lincoln's legacy is complex and contains actions which, 150 years later, appear flawed. She said in the statement, however, when the totality of his tenure is considered, Lincoln is widely acknowledged as one of our greatest presidents, having issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, all right. So he's widely considered to be a good guy for having released the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Okay, fine. But you know what she didn't do? She said, we're not taking it down. That's basically what she said. She didn't say, we're going to do anything if you take it down. She didn't say there are going to be any consequences for it being taken down. What she said was the most tepid possible defense of that statue. Some people say it is widely believed that Lincoln was a great president because he emancipated the slaves. I'm not Becky Blank. I'm not committing to that position. And I'm also I'm not telling you that if you tear down our Lincoln statues, we're going to expel your asses. No. Hey, we're not going to do it. In fact, could you not potentially see that if you have the intellectual education, if you have the intellectual level of some of these idiots who are taking down abolitionists, if you're one of those half-educated, really in-debt UW-Wisconsin kids, would you not see this as an incitement? We will not take it down. No, but nor will we are not laying out any penalties or punishments if you want to do it. Would you not see this as an incitement?
We'll see. Well, the I guess rage that's going on the UW campus. I'm actually going to be doing something in August where I talk about the history of what's happened on the UW-Madison campus in a book called Rads. Look it up, start reading it, because in August we're talking about it. But everything that was happening in the 60s, Rads, is happening now. Not what has changed during that time, other than to say that there is even less pushback from administration, even less ability for anyone to stop the craziness.
We have surrendered. The difference between 1968 and 2020 is we've surrendered, right? The cops aren't going to do anything. The mayors aren't going to do anything. The university campus police aren't going to do anything. Becky Blank isn't going to do anything. She's not going to put a guard around the statue. She's not going to fence it off. She's not going to, here's what's going to happen if you pull it down. No. She's surrendered as well. So we've all surrendered, right? We've all surrendered to this idea. And well, that's coming for Hamilton now. Which was a stupid idea to begin with, right? A bunch of minorities playing founding fathers and pretending that the world of the founding was very different. I just love the fact. Look, it's like a circle. These progressives, it's like a circular firing squad. They're so busy in a gathering in a circle around everything. They're killing themselves. That's exactly right. A little Savannah, molasses.
We're actually going to stay in Crazy Town, Madtown, USA, where the Madison Metropolitan School District Interim Superintendent, that's a mouthful, Jane Belmore, actually decided, okay, I'm going to write this newsletter out to the parents of more than, 27,000 students who are in the school district. And the first, it's just a 5-paragraph newsletter, very succinct. But the first paragraph's talking about staying cool in the heat because it's warm here in Wisconsin. Notes about what's happening with COVID. And also, I'm so sorry. The 4th of July. I'm so sorry.
We have to apologize.
So the final paragraph, and again, only 5 paragraphs. She chose to use an entire paragraph to apologize for the United States having the 4th of July. She says, lastly, for those who celebrate Independence Day, for those who celebrate it, not because it's a national holiday celebrating
federal
the
holiday,
entire country's independence and founding, but for those of you who celebrate it on July 4th, I wish you a happy and healthy holiday.
And that's a lie. She doesn't. She doesn't wish
you
a happy
that's just
holiday.
a lie. That's a greeting card.
Talk about damning with faint praise. If you must celebrate this, then
okay.
you go to hell is what she's really thinking. I wish you a happy and healthy holiday.
Maybe she spelled healthy wrong. Healthy. I also want to acknowledge that the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence does not represent freedom for everyone in our nation, especially for those of us who love this country and have benefited from its history. There is no better time to explore this truth than now. I hope you will join me in doing so. And then the kicker is it says, here's the place to start, which is a link to the Democracy Now! Website and a recorded reading of Frederick Douglass's speech from July 5th, 1852, entitled, What to the Slave is the 4th of July? And I think everyone should go and listen to that or read it. But the oration actually is by someone named Amy Goodman. And so it says that this is the actor James Earl Jones reading the historic address during a performance of Howard Zinn's Voices of a People's History of the United States. This is the late, great people's historian, Howard Zinn. Your comments.
Yeah, so you scratch a Black Lives Matter activist, you get a socialist. you scratch the surface of some vapid a 4-year education degree superintendent of public schools, and you get a Marxist, right? And so behind all of this is nothing to do with black people. And why is it that we never actually point out that, we could take that tack, right? The Declaration, the sign, and literally the 4th of July signing, which was a completely remarkable act. That act was not an act of freedom. What about the freedom it conferred on a new nation that had never been conferred on anybody before? What about that? What about the fact that the signing of the Declaration of Independence actually afforded freedoms to people on a scale that the world had never seen before? Guaranteed the rights of individuals at a size not envisioned anywhere in human history. But that's not good enough, right? We could point out that, right? How about if we said this? For all of you who are wouldn't this be a more honest statement? For all of you who are choosing to not honor this day because freedom was not conferred equally on all men, we respect your decision, but we would ask you to consider and acknowledge the following. That while not all men were granted their immediate freedom, more people than in any time in the history of the world were given freedom. Furthermore, the very mechanisms that would free the slaves, and all men and women, were incorporated into that document. So while you choose not to protest, and we acknowledge that, we hope you have a healthy and happy non-holiday, the rest of us are going to celebrate this great, big, wonderful accomplishment and take that.
But we're not done with Madison, because what we are teaching our students, our high schoolers, K through 12, what to do is what then they have become. We have a group of young Panthers. Oh, like the Black Panthers, but it's the Young Panthers. It's a student organization in Madison it was made up of recent Madison High School graduates. They had an event, and it was called the Black Money Matters event. Get it? And they intended to uplift their community by supporting Black-owned businesses. Okay, that sounds great. But then the local news ran a piece about, the various things that were happening, and they had different newscasts. And they actually left out one of the segments of the interview package for the 10 o'clock news and the online edition. What does that little segment look like? Take a look.
We wanted to do something simultaneously to that in response to the writing. If you're going to go destroy white people's businesses, why shop there after you get done destroying them? Why not come then and support your own businesses and try to focus in and build ourselves up?
If you're going to destroy white people's businesses, why shop there when they're destroyed? Come and shop with your fellow black people. Now, first of all, not any of the newscasters, not any of the print versions of the story, there wasn't a single Madison superintendent of public schools who said, for those of you who don't support what the actual Black Panthers did, terrorism and assassinations and murder and rape, these are the Young Panthers, right? So why can't we separate their violence? Because, the 4th of July was all about violence, not freedom. But she had to point out, right, that for those of you who don't celebrate the 4th, okay, well, for those of you, I'm going to do it. For those of you who don't support who the Young Panthers have named themselves after, terrorists, separatists, violent, rapists, and murderers, for those of you who don't support them, then there's this, number one. And number two, the logic of this. Clearly educated in Wisconsin schools, right? That once you've burned down white people's businesses, don't shop there. How would that work? Well, I could just see walking through the ashes, right, with a little asphyxia mask on, right? Hunting for treasures underneath all that ash. And really?
They're not trying to protect themselves from COVID. It's from the ashes.
That's right. The ashes. And the absolute ethical problem of once you've burned down other people's shops, then come shop at ours. Not the slightest glimmer, not the slightest spark in her Wisconsin school-numbed eyes that this might be an ethical conflict.
No, not at all. I mean, if you're going to destroy white people's businesses.
If you're going to wink, destroy white people's businesses.
So Denaria Rowe, she's the co-founder of this Madison Young Panthers. And she just graduated from West High School. So if you live in Madison and your kids go to West High School, she says, with the Young Panthers, the reason we call it the Young Panthers is because we want to connect with the youth before it is too late, because there is a miscommunication between us lately. Before it is too late. Gimme.
And this is why
Join
I say,
us now.
This is why I always prefer a mature cougar to a young panther.
If Abraham Lincoln's racist and everybody's racist, why not have Gandhi be racist as well? The students at California State at Fresno have launched, of course, an online petition on change.org to remove a statue of Gandhi from campus because they say he was a racist. The petition has about 5,500 signatures. And student Aknur Sidhu is a female. She said the petition is because I want to raise awareness about a prominent South Asian figure, Gandhi, and his racist remarks. The petition actually lays out a timeline. If you take a look at this petition, she copy and pasted a lot of information there. There's a whole timeline of Gandhi's racist identity, and she quotes Gandhi from the collected works of Gandhi. And so because he believed in the caste system and that he actively campaigned against Zulu nonviolent civil rights movement, and all this other stuff, Gandhi must go.
He actually, and she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
Given the way we've redefined the word racist to mean anything that pisses off liberals, she's not wrong.
That's true.
The funny thing is that this is a towering liberal icon, right? And this shows you how foolish this movement is. Here's a guy who systematically gave the middle finger to Western culture, right? This is the guy, and everybody, apparently he never even said it. But the quote that Gandhi is reported to have said, which I don't think he did say, was when somebody asked him about Western culture, he said it'd be a start. What do you think about Western civilization? Apparently, Gandhi remarked, it'd be a good start. But he probably didn't even say that. And this is the same guy, Gandhi, by the way, who wrote a letter to the Jews during World War II, in which when he basically subtly suggested that if he were one of the Jews, he'd kill himself. And maybe they ought to do it too. Instead of resisting, maybe the better thing to do would be to kill yourself. So they've got a point. In fact, you can make an argument that Gandhi is as bad or worse, certainly as bad or much worse than Lincoln.
This is true. There's a lot more historical backing. And if you take a look at the actual petition, she, again, lays out many examples of things.
Yep.
But these kids, they don't know how to use connections of things. What did Gandhi say? Be the change you wish to see in the world, right? Or you want to see in the world. And this is on change.org, and this is a petition, and she didn't utilize that opportunity to connect them. Why?
By the way, Gandhi, who was Barack Obama's a big fan of Gandhi.
Oh, yeah.
He appropriated Obama, the be the change you want to be. And we think about what Obama did, or maybe I should call him Obamba, because how many bombs did he drop from the sky on black and brown skinned people? How often did he do that? And wasn't it Barack Obama who built the cages that housed those immigrant children that Donald Trump infamously used? Wasn't it Barack Obama who was giving guns through a failed government program to Mexican cartel rebels that ultimately turned around and killed American ICE members of ICE? I mean, in what way is Barack Obama better than any of these people? He's a guy who got a Nobel Peace. They gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Yasser Arafat, didn't they? And they gave it to Barack Obama. Is it possible to argue that?
2 peas in a pod.
Exactly. if all of these things are true, and if all the American presidents are now suspect because of the horrible things they did, how is Barack Obama not a simple outgrowth of all of that bad behavior?
Well, when his statue gets torn down, and who knows how long from now, then we'll know the true answer to that one.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You're going after, although if you're going after Hamilton, the musical,
he's white,
and Miranda wasn't.
Well, Miranda's not,
no.
but because he's talking about a white person.
If you're going after the minority creators of a Hollywood Broadway musical that turns all of the founding fathers into minorities, right? If you're going after that, and you're going after Gandhi, and you're going after Lincoln, look, there are 4 guys on Mount Rushmore who you could make a better case for their position there than you certainly could Obama's. And it just seems to me that they're now attacking Miranda, who's a Puerto Rican, right? And they're attacking him for being a race sellout. Well, no one sold out race on a bigger level than Barack Obama.
It's time now for some real education. In the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna, one of the most prized exhibits is the Cellini Salt Cellar, or the Celliera, which is Italian for salt cellar, created by the 16th century artist Benvenuto Cellini. The piece is partly enameled gold table sculpture completed in 1543 for Francis I of France from models that had been prepared many years earlier for Cardinal Ippolito d'Este. The Salt Cellar is the only remaining work in gold that can be reliably attributed to Cellini. In Cellini's own description, the sea was represented by a male figure reclining beside a ship for holding the salt. The earth he, quote, fashioned like a woman, end quote, and placed a temple near her to serve as a receptacle for pepper. The salt cellar is made of ivory, rolled gold, and vitreous enamel.
So that's a lot of information. Let's take a look at the actual picture. This, believe it or not, is a salt service. This incredibly elaborate, intricately beautiful gold and ivory carving from Benvenuto Cellini. Now, Cellini is one of the great Renaissance artists. He's up there with Michelangelo and Leonardo, only he's not one that we spend a lot of time talking about. This gives you a chance to see the only surviving artwork from him in the medium of gold, right? He was a sculptor, he was an architect, all sorts of really interesting things he did in the later part of the Renaissance period. But this salt cellar literally is designed to hold pepper and salt so that you could use it on your table. To talk about the opulence of the court of Francis I, right? What's going on here? And this is one of the most absolutely valuable pieces in the entire German museum that we're talking about here. And so it's a big deal. And if you notice the molding, the man is the sea. You can tell because he holds the trident, or the three-pronged fork, which is kind of neat for a dinner table service, right? You've got Poseidon holding not one of the great big tridents, but a fork, something that you would use to eat the food. He is the receptacle for salt, for the ocean, get it? Salt water. And she, of course, being Gaia, she's not Gaia, but she's an image of fertility. She's an image of motherhood. She's an image of the great mother nature. She is a vessel reclining to receive pepper. And there's a whole lot of pointed phallic symbolatry going on there, right? With the way they're posed and the way her legs are fashioned and what exactly is being recorded here. So it's very interesting when you think about it. And this also, it's one of those valuable pieces in the museum. Also, it's a kind of a detective story. On May 11th, 2003, this salt cellar was the one thing that was stolen from the museum, which was covered by scaffolding at that time due to reconstruction. So the rebuilding projects at the university, at the museum, and they had a bunch of scaffolding there. And that was one of the employees of the museum actually found a way to take it out. The thief set off the alarms, but those were ignored as false because of the construction, and the theft remained undiscovered. The museum offered a reward of $1 million, the equivalent of 1 million pounds, for its recovery. It was valued at about 20 million. The salt cellar was finally recovered on 21 January 2006. 3 years it was missing. It had been buried in a lead box in a forest near the town in Zwettl, Austria, about 90 kilometers north of Vienna. The thief, Robert Mang, turned himself in after police surveillance photos of the suspect were subsequently recognized by acquaintance. He was recognized that way. He had been writing notes back and forth, asking for certain things, making sort of demands, and he got sloppy at one point, and they were able to trace him. The sculpture is insured for an estimated now 60 million, approximately 68.3 million in CPI-adjusted 2012 United States dollars by Unica Insurance Corp, an Austrian insurance company. So it's now insured for 60 million big ones. This final work, one great lost work of Benvenuto Cellini, who left us nothing else in gold sculpture.
Well, all right. As always, you can follow us on Facebook and Parler. And if you have a question for our Friday Q&A, visit freedomproject.com/askduke or send us a message on social media. Now, as a reminder, Freedom Project Academy's live online school is enrolling new students for just 2 more weeks. You have just 2 weeks to get your kids into Freedom Project Academy. Make sure you request your free packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R, school.com. Now we're going to wrap things up with our fun fact of the day at UW-Madison. Go Bucky. It's actually a time-honored tradition to go to the top of Bascom Hill, which is just outside Bascom Hall, as we said, and rub the left foot there of Abraham Lincoln's foot for good luck.
Well, instead of rubbing it, bring your little shoe shine kit. Wasn't it the president of Chick-fil-A who said white people should be ashamed of themselves and they should be out shining the shoes of black people? Maybe if we turn it into a shoe shine episode, they'll allow the statue to stay. And that's our show for today. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.